This week on the Fifth Trooper podcast.
You have to murder each other's army in 3 turns.
Whoa.
No, not murder. It's very Disney.
Yeah.
It's very like, we knock them over. And then
Yeah. They're just
place
taking a
them
break.
gently back in their
They're just taking naps.
styrofoam package.
Welcome to the Fifth Trooper podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Fifth Trooper podcast, where we talk Star Wars Legion. My name is Jay Shalansky, and joining me today, as always, is Evan Bulris.
How's it going?
Well, we have another guest on the podcast today.
Oh.
She's the Leia to my Han,
Oh.
the something to my something,
Oh.
and something else. Like I was trying to think of what are more relationships in the Star Wars universe that aren't incestual.
I can't. It's weird.
Yeah, you can't think of one. Anyways, Rachel's here.
Hi.
She's my significant other, the mother to my redheaded stepchildren.
I thought that was me. That's fine.
Yeah, so Rachel, how's it feel? Number one, let's start here. How's it feel to be on the podcast versus watching us from afar?
I was a little surprised this morning when you asked me to join in. And I'm like, are we grasping at straws? Are you running out of stuff to talk about? Why am I here today?
Yeah,
Really?
all that's true. I have nothing. There's nothing else happening in the world of Legion. So,
We're barely scraping by it.
we're
Slow
Well, it
news
was
week.
very sweet of you to include me. I did like that.
I'm trying to
there we go.
open.
That was nice.
I'm trying to open up our demographics.
There's a lady on the podcast.
Yeah, maybe other ladies will listen. Maybe guys who want ladies will listen. I don't know.
There you go.
It's
I mean,
just
hey, man.
I'm seeing what we can do here.
It's 2019, whatever.
No, so the idea was I've been thinking about this for a little while. Now, unfortunately, Rachel and Evan too. Neither of you guys can make it to LVO, but Rachel and Evan will be coming to Adepticon. But no, when we were at Vegas and like talking about all these other shows, like a lot of guys bring their significant others, and it just had me thinking like, what's it like to be the significant other of someone who's so heavy into a hobby, and like what's it look like from the outside, because we know we guys like Evan and I get so wrapped up in the hobby. I mean, for God's sakes, we hundreds of thousands of dollars into it, plus the podcast and time and all this other stuff.
Whoa, wait, hundreds of thousands?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh God,
Whoa.
we need to talk
Hundreds
about
of
that later.
or thousands of. So I wanted to bring you on and just kind of like talk about. So, all right, let me ask you this. So before we got together, you hadn't really dated someone with such a hobby
Here
as
we go.
this, right?
I mean, not this particular hobby.
Different
but
hobbies.
What's it, as far as speaking about any relationships, I mean, about what you do specifically, like you could be in a bar or you could be doing something. I know what you're doing. You're in a comic book shop with other nerds.
Safe.
And
Safe.
it's a safe
Safe.
place and
Safe.
it's fine. Like, well, it's no big deal. Do your thing. I support you. And
Yeah. So when we, one of the things when we first started hanging out, I went to Gen Con actually because I was trying to kickstart a board game at that time. Legion hadn't even been announced yet.
They think they announced it.
Announced
Two
but not
years-
released. Yeah.
At that joke.
And so like I wasn't into Legion, but I was into other gaming. And so what was kind of your mindset? I mean, the kickstarting a board game is kind of like a business. So I think that's one thing. But what was your mindset when you started hearing about all this super nerdy stuff that I was into?
well, I'm kind of also a closet nerd. So I was a little jealous. I was like, this looks like fun. I'm really into Halloween. So the cosplay aspect of the cons is interesting to me.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, it could be kind of cool. And the people all seem really nice and friendly when you go. And
The people are nice and
the people
friendly
are
when I
They're
go.
friendly guys.
They are to women. And so
Well, I noticed that also the
Yeah.
male to female ratio. There's a lot more dudes at these things. So
You
as
see-
far as being in a relationship and being like, yeah, I'm cool with him going, it's 90% guys. So it's like,
You just need to show up. So those scenes in James Bond, right, where he's playing the cards, and then he has whoever the female is at the time comes up and like, hey, how's it going? How you doing? And he like It was like, hey, only other female here talking to me, haha, and all the other guys get jealous. You just need to go,
Right.
right? Like that. You just need to walk up to Jay, and be like, hey, what's going on? I know Star Wars, and people go, oh crap, then they're out, right there. You're already in the mind.
That's a
right?
good tactic, for the next tournament.
You gotta just be James Bond, man. That's just be James Bond. It's easy.
The problem is I would get distracted too. Like it would.
Hey man, it's a gamble you gotta take.
Yeah, it wouldn't work for me. I'd be
like,
like, wait, what's happening?
you want to win worlds or not? All right, that's what you gotta do.
But yeah, so let's so from my perspective, like Rachel was saying, she's pretty into like crafts and crafting and the hobby aspect of everything. So I think for us that's been really good because she really helps with terrain and painting minis when I let her, and I'm not
You're really
over her
control
shoulder.
freak about some of those things, but he tries to let me paint minis and do terrain
Yeah.
sometimes. He's like, you can take this crappy set and
I let her
work
paint all
on
my
it.
crappy rebels.
Yeah, it's like you can do the other teams, guys.
Yeah.
Not
The
mine.
other
I'll be
teams.
doing those.
The others.
The other ones.
That's right. Yeah. So, I mean, how's it from, I guess from a time perspective and stuff like that, like all the time that I put in, not put the podcast aside, but just the game itself. Like, how do you see that time spent?
It does consume quite a few Friday nights of our lives. I mean, however, so I typically go with you
Let the truth
and
out.
drop you off, and then I go shopping.
Oh yeah. So if I could ever give a guy out there a tip, is if you have like a regular game night or you want to go to a tournament, my experience has been, I say, hey, why don't you come with me, drop me off, and I'll just give you the credit card, and you could go do whatever.
That is a deal, is how that works out. I mean, that would be my advice. So if you are a lady not joining in on a tournament,
No one's a lady listening
and your
to this.
guy is going,
I'm just kidding.
gentlemen, bring her a gift. Like that's the easiest thing. Like if you go to Vegas for the weekend for a tournament, leave the casino hotel area for 5 minutes, go out into the sunlight, find any store at all, bring her back anything. And she'll be like, oh, you thought of me. That's so sweet.
Well, let me ask you this. So speaking of going to LVO, like a lot of guys brought their wives or significant others to Vegas with them. But do you see that? And I know like a lot of them did spend extra time in Vegas outside of the tournament so that they could go do things with their wives and stuff. Are you cool with that? Is that something that you think is worthwhile? Like if I'm stuck,
The majority of his day gets tied up for like 8 hours.
yeah,
6
like
hours.
10 hours,
Yeah, I would just keep up in the numbers. 12 hours, maybe.
12 hours. Well, yeah, because that Friday at LVO, that was forever.
I mean, I
was
look
like
at it
14
again.
hours.
I look at the positive side of things. So I'm like, woohoo, a free trip. Like, so we're going to a couple of things coming up. I haven't been to Chicago, so I'm excited to go to Chicago.
Yep,
And
Adepticon.
then what's the next one? Is in Minneapolis? Maybe?
I mean, that's Worlds. Yeah, if we go to that, but no, the next one would be probably Nova.
Okay,
which
yeah,
is
that's
in DC.
Yeah, I don't mind traveling and checking things out. And again, I'm into it, so I would just wander around and
Yeah.
look at.
I
look at
know
stuff while you're doing it.
Nova used to. I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to have. It was called the Wives of Nova Foundation or something. So, if you want to go, but you weren't pertaining to play the game, they had they'd have a whole list of itinerary you could do. So they'd be
Right.
like, we got a bus shows up.
Takes the ladies to the mall.
Yeah, they just drive you around to all
Gets
like
them
the sites,
pedicures
and
and
they would do all that
massages.
kind of stuff. And while like people are playing games, I don't know if they do it anymore. I think like they did it once, and lack of interest just kind of like shot it down. So I don't know if it still goes, but I know stuff like that used to exist. I don't know if it does anymore though.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I didn't know that existed. That's neat.
Not a problem for this guy, but
Why is that?
hello, darkness, my old friend.
So from the outside looking in, like what is describe the game to people from your
No.
perspective.
I
Yes,
don't want to
please.
do this.
No, I do. I want to hear it.
Well, you each have like a bunch of little guys,
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
and they're plastic
Yeah.
and shiny, and you get to paint them yourself, so they're extra special and
Yep.
personalized. And then you get so many points worth of army.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
yeah.
they battle each other, but you have
Perfect.
dice rolls and turns, and you only get 3 turns, and
Yep. Okay. Yep.
you have to murder each other's army in 3 turns.
Whoa, whoa,
All right,
whoa,
okay.
whoa.
No, not murder.
Whoa.
It's very Disney.
Yeah.
It's very like we knock them over and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah. They're
we
just
place
taking a
them
break.
gently
They're just,
back in their
They're just
It's
taking naps.
styrofoam package.
think of it like laser tag.
Sure.
Big old game of laser tag.
Yeah, they're just
I mean,
out.
that's it, right? Yeah, I nailed it.
Yeah,
Pretty
you nailed
much
it.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty perfect.
Okay.
You
cool.
got it.
I got it.
So I guess it starts as a hobby, but I think for us, because not just because of the podcast, I think it would be like this even if we didn't have a podcast, if we were doing all these tournaments and stuff, it becomes more than that. So at what point in your mind does it start to become like, how does it become a problem, I guess, for you, for somebody that's like trying to maintain a relationship with somebody that's so obsessed with something that's outside of your purview?
Sometimes I do have to bring you back down and say, all right, we've done Legion things 5 nights this week. Do you think we could squeak in a date night or something? Or maybe you could
Yeah.
look at my face. I don't know what there's time for.
You have a face?
Man,
I didn't sign up for faces.
you know it's funny because when I was seeing a girl who lived about an hour away, and she had a kid. She went to school and she worked, so like she had like Friday nights off, and that's when Friday night's game night. I would just stop going to game night, and I got the opposite effect where like guys would be like, what? It's Friday. Where are you? And I'd get like these multiple texts. I'm like, sorry guys, like I got
a lady.
Oh yeah, it's like she has like one night freedom, right? And so like so I always got the opposite kickback. Was like, who's gonna be up? Who's that Friday though? Like who's gonna bring us to Apple? What's going on?
Yeah, and I'm glad that's a great segue because, part of the reason for bringing Rachel on was I'm trying to like think about, because this is a sticking point in my personal life, and having Rachel on here to attest to that is a good way to point this out. But like, how do we, we've been talking about burnout the last couple episodes, and now I'm trying to figure out like, how do you balance this, right? Because we all have jobs, we all have these personal lives, and we have things going on. So how do you balance it with your personal life? And I was just been thinking about this because, lately, like the last week or two, the kids have seemed really interested in wanting to learn how to play Legion. So like in my head, I was like, oh, snap, that's a great way to balance family life with my passion with this hobby is, I'm going to start teaching the kids how to play. I tried to get Rachel to teach her how to play. It did not go well. Not that she
You
didn't.
didn't get that
Hold on.
far.
Yeah. Let me finish.
What?
Whoa. Whose podcast is this?
Sorry, super sorry. Jeez.
You don't control this part of my life. No,
Oh,
I'm just
God.
kidding. But we talked about it. We didn't actually, I didn't get into teaching you, but like we kind of talked about it, and you were like, yeah, that sounds good. But I could see it in your eyes that it didn't sound good to you, so you were kind of like, meh. Because I think the time investment is probably too
there's
much
a
for
lot to it. I think I had just started a new job at that time,
Yeah.
and I was just like, I don't have enough time to mentally learn this right now.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
there's a lot to it.
but outside of that, I think the good kind of bringing, and I don't know, you tell me from your perspective, but I felt like bringing you into the fold a little bit with like us doing terrain and like figures together seemed to maybe help alleviate some of that, where I could still get time into the hobby aspect of the game, and I could still get time into the game and get done when I needed to get done for this game, but I could also
Yes, I very much enjoy
Bring you in.
painting and doing that aspect of it, and we kind of just sit quietly next to each other and paint. Like we don't really talk, but
Well, it's like when people read next to each other,
right.
right? It's just the company is the point.
In fact, I've tried to talk to her while she's painting, and that's a no-fly zone. Like she's like, "Why are you talking to me? I'm working right now." And I'm like,
Working.
"Okay, I'm sorry. I thought this was time for us to be together." She's like, "No, it's time for me to create." But yeah, so I'm just trying to, that's I think. What else, Rachel? From your perspective, do you think?
Jay,
Maybe just leave it to me, maybe not to everybody, but what could I personally do to be more inclusive so that you feel more part of? Because I think, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I think a lot of where a lot of problems happen in relationships in general is when one person feels like the other person's doing something that they're not allowed to be part of, they're not included in, and so it kind of like starts creating this like.
Well, I feel like I don't know a lot of the people that you play from far away. And there's a funny story.
We got
that
a great
goes with
story.
this. Yeah.
So I'll start. So one day, you guys all know this person, but Rachel didn't. So Dash from Notorious Scoundrels, his family's from where we're from, and he was coming up for the holiday, and so he was like, "Hey man, why don't I stop by to your house and we'll get a game in?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's great." And so what was it, a couple days before, I think I told Rachel, I was like, "Hey, so my buddy Dash is gonna come up and play a game." I literally said Dash. I know his real name.
I said, Dash, do you even know this person in real life? Like, is he a murderer? Is he going to kill us?
Who knows?
I don't understand where he
likes
came
Legion,
from.
though.
So now I'm going to tell you the answer I gave her, and then I'll tell you what the real answer is. But the answer I gave her was like, no, I've never met him in real life. We just do a podcast, the other podcast together. We just met digitally.
I thought he was going to kill us. Like, I was like, this is such Craigslist killer. Like, this is so classic. He's going to kill us.
I like Legion.
I will come to your house.
Yeah, I'll come to your house and hang out, play some Legion.
And she was like, you invited him to the house?
It's like a vampire, man. You already
Like,
made the first
nobody,
mistake.
we didn't have the kids that weekend.
Yeah.
Neither of our parents really knew like what we were doing. Like, he could have just killed us and like taken over our lives and like lived in your skin. I don't know.
It's like Unbreakable.
It's
Man, jeez.
so creepy. I'm like, how do you know him?
And he's a very pleasant man.
He
and
was very nice.
He brought wine.
Yeah.
And he diffused it right away, but
It was brilliant. That was
he
the
walked
answer.
Like
he
he's
walked
done
through
it
the
before,
door.
is what you're saying.
Yeah. He's killed before.
Yeah.
He walked through the door. She literally said to him, "Oh my God, I thought you were going to be an axe murderer.
Nice to meet you.
Are you going to axe murder us?
Are you going to
'Cause
kill us?
I'm not
today?
down for that
I
today."
think it was right before Christmas too.
Yeah, it was.
Which is when
You're gonna ruin
People-
our kids' Christmas.
She thought he was one of the wet bandits from Home Alone. So the funnier part of that is I actually had met him in person at PAX. At PAX Unplugged, and I just didn't tell you.
Oh, that was weird.
So that was fun. And so okay, let's talk about that a little bit, because I've done that twice. I didn't have somebody, the second person in the house, but we met Houston at Comic Zone, and Rachel again was like, "Wait, have you ever met this person?" I'm like,
Well,
"No."
I mean, that was more of a safe place. Like, you don't just
Public-
have
it's a public
strangers
area.
come to your house.
But I absolutely would have had him
Psycho,
come over to
that's
the
insane.
house. Yeah.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah, he was a nice guy too. But mean-
You're 2 for 2 right now, but the third one.
the third one's going to be the murderer. That's where.
Yeah,
So
Why are you pressing your luck?
If any of our listeners are murderers, you just ask if you want to come over to the
Just
house, and
pop
I'm going to
over
say
Jay's
yes.
house.
I'll give you an
'Cause
exact address.
Easy target, my friends.
I just don't have lots of friends. So when people say, "Can I come over and play?" I'm like, "Yes,
Yes.
Please come over.
Yeah.
Please.
I don't even think twice about it.
Yes, complete stranger, come to my house. It'll be fun.
Oh my god.
Why do you have that axe? No problem.
No problem.
Bring it in.
Just bring it in with you. Why not?
I forgot. This went off on a tangent, but yeah. So we were talking about inclusive. So I guess what else besides including in the hobby or trying to find an aspect? What else could I do with this whole thing that could bring you into the fold more? Not forget the podcast stuff, because this is so like for the listeners, who are just doing the hobby and stuff. Like, how can we better our relationships through the game of Star Wars Legion?
Oh my. Well, I have not been to a big event where you've been playing.
Right.
And I think one thing I've complained is that you don't contact me when
Yeah.
you're at an event. And I'm like, you were there for 4 days. Like, why? You texted me 2 times.
3. I was there for 3
3.
days.
3 times texted.
Still alive.
Well, and I would say,
and then your response was that you don't know. I don't know how very busy it is. So I think when I go to the next one, I will see, you know, how busy it is. And I don't have any kind of grasp of how much time you have in between the game and how much, if you have time to eat, and they don't always schedule for a lunch break. So you don't always have time to make contact with your beloved, like you should.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And and I think, you know, everybody out there that plays knows this, but you know, it's tough because you start early, and then even between games, like, you know, LVO and Adepticons can be like this, where there'll be a lunch break, but it's like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's not,
and like you haven't eaten in like 5 hours.
Nuts.
And so you're like, all right, I gotta get food, and then what happens? I think in everybody's case, but in particular our case, because we run the podcast and stuff, you know, people have heard of us or know us, and they would come talk to me, and then it's like, okay, I love that. Yes, please. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying, but that cuts down my time, and then it's like. So I think at LVO, I called you after my second round or one of the rounds, and I was like, "Hey, I got 5 seconds."
Yeah, no, I'm
1-1.
Yeah, I was at X-Wing Regional. I was like 6 rounds, so it's like, oh god, like 8-9 hours, and they're running too long, so they cut lunch. So you're just like going and going and going, and every game I had was like going to time. So I didn't have anyone to call, but like I was hungry, I was tired. Like by the end, at some point. You start playing, you're like, dude, I don't care who wins. You're tired and you're hungry, you're like, whatever, man, I just want to go home. And so like you win, you're like, God, you know, you're like, you're on the next round, and then you're just so burned out, but like you're doing well. It's this weird dichotomy. It's hard to explain.
Well, I feel like that might be part of it as well. People who don't play don't realize that it's such a mentally challenging game that you're just exhausted after. Like I'm sure you wanted to.
You get decision fatigue, right? That's why they put at supermarkets candy at the checkout lane. Because you're making so many decisions as you're walking around, near the end you stop caring. Mm-hmm. And so you're like, oh yeah, I'll take candy. I know it's bad, but I want it. So at the end of a day of playing games, you're making decisions every, like, do I move my spaceship here? Do I move my spaceman here? At the end, I'm at like, people are like, where do you want to be? I'm like, I don't care, just food. And you go there, and if I hate the place, I'm like, whatever, I'll just give me a 1 and a Coke. I hate Coke, but like it's just, your brain goes to the most basic, like, how do I still live and do what I want? And then so it just kind of like chuck. So I'm a zombie near the end of it. Like I'm like shaking hands or something, like, yeah, good seeing you, dog. You know, like it's, so when it's not even like I don't want to like reach out, things like that, I just sometimes I just forget. Like you're just so like just burned out of having to do all these, like play this game all day in my first world country.
Well, and that's funny that you say that, because I think probably for you, you know, I think you get to see it more with the podcast and everything, and clearly you understand it a little bit more based on what you just said. But I think that's hard for people to grasp. Like, I think from the outside, it looks like just a game. It looks like
it burns you out, man.
Like a Monopoly game, right? To people who aren't in the know, and they're like, "What are you talking about? You're playing a game all day." And it's like, no, it's competitive. It's a competition level from a mental standpoint, right? And so I think it's still fatiguing because you know, and not to mention, listen, not everybody, but a good portion of us aren't the fittest gentlemen in the room, and you have to stand for 14-15 hours like straight to get that done, right?
Guilty.
Yeah, you know, and I'm not right, anybody, you know, and so I think there's a lot that goes into it that's unseen. And I think having you now, I won't be playing Adepticon, but you can at least watch other people and see what it's all about,
like me.
Like, yeah.
I will be cheering for Evan, all you other people, and I'm sorry.
Yay.
Go Team Evan.
Hooray. Somebody finally does.
And you'll get to see Mike again, Dash.
Hey, Dash.
Actually, what I want you to do is just come over and like start knocking my stuff off the table, just violently. And I'll be like, oh, please stop. No, I'm sorry, Rachel. No. And then like you just leave, and then people are like, what's that? I'm like, nothing, it's fine. Just don't tell anybody about this.
Personal.
You saw nothing.
You saw nothing. Just don't mention it again, all right?
But all right, so I guess what else has been pretty hard from your perspective? I guess the podcast, now that we could talk about that. So the rest of you are pretty hard into the game, and I know some of you listening have stores and stuff out there and are going hard into Legion too. But on top of being hard into Legion and playing all the time and being obsessed with it, and I got the podcast too, which is I'm pretty obsessed about.
Very time consuming.
Everybody be
all
quiet.
Activities.
No, what are you doing? You breathing? No more breathing. You go breathe upstairs if you want to breathe.
Yep.
No more noise.
Silent time at Jay's house because he's recording.
So go ahead, talk to that a little bit.
Talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead. Pull the curtain back a little bit. Explain how Jay gets before a podcast.
I guess I'll go sit quietly and watch TV. Yeah, do it upstairs with the door shut.
Oh my god.
Don't make sound. Yeah, so I've had to find silent activities. I've literally been yelled at for washing dishes and cooking food for you. Though you do eat the food.
Yeah.
You're like, woman, silence. Like you're making so much noise out there.
Oh no.
And I'm trying to be as quiet as possible. It's just I'm not aware in the recording process of how very quiet you need to be.
Well, and doing this is multiple levels winning for me right now because she put the headphones on. She goes, "Whoa, you can hear everything."
Like, it's
Yeah.
so much louder. Yeah, I can hear everything.
Yeah, I mean, so what is it hard to be on the other end of that where, you know, I know this takes a lot of energy and focus for me. So what's been the hardest part about that? Is it just the time? I mean, I feel like I balance pretty okay between work and this and you guys.
Yeah, you've had to make some pretty clear, like, this is a podcast night. This is not a podcast night. So you do really well separating time for everything. And we did have to talk about that a couple of times. You were way involved, and I was like, hey, I need you to dial it back and give me like one night a week here.
Yeah.
And that's when I think the gaming Friday nights always wasn't happening, and all the people were like, hey, why aren't you at Comic Zone, Jay? We miss you.
Yeah, I think that's been best for me too. I'm glad you brought that up because that's kind of like a piece of a recommendation, I guess, that I would give out is I found it better when I almost schedule it like a job or something where I go, hey guys, this is okay. So this time and these nights are when I do podcasts. This is when I play, or, you know, and letting Rachel know far ahead of time when like all the tournaments or big stuff is happening. So, like I made that mistake. I wasn't, you know, I was like, oh, hey, I gotta go out to Rochester to
right.
this weekend.
We weren't being clear on dates. Like we have 4 kids together and a lot of 2 different school districts. So there's a lot of calendars.
Sure, yeah.
And I was like, no, I need you to tell me the exact dates of everything right up front so I can put it in my calendar. I need to know what day you're leaving, what day you're coming back. I need to know what nights a week you record so I can just put it in my head and be aware of the times that you are unavailable.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, I'm not organized like that as well. And that was tough for me to transition to that, but I think it's really helped since I've done that and I think we have established nights where it's like, hey, this is this night, you know, Friday nights, even though I try to even, you know, Evan knows, like I'll pop into the store even if it's just for like an hour just to kind of hang out and see everybody and make sure people are still into Legion and, you know, but yeah, I think it's scheduling, like, and being on the same page, you know, with your partner and just being like, all right, these are the nights and the days that I'm doing things. And then having, like, if there's a game night or something, just making that, you know, maybe making one night an optional night where it's like, okay, this night's free if we want to go do something. But if there's nothing going on, then I'm going to hop down to the store and play or do something.
Going back to the beginning of our conversation, I don't really mind the credit card option. Like I'm a big shopper. I like clothes and pedicures. And if he's going to play, I'm generally like, yeah, I'll take that Visa. And
well, and I think,
I'm going to hit the mall. No problem.
Well, and to like dive into that a little bit more, I think it's, you'll put some errands aside that you would have normally run like maybe during the week or waited to the weekend, and then you'll be like, oh well, we're gonna be in that area of town Friday night, so then I'll take care of that stuff that night.
Go do shopping for whatever. If it's a holiday, I do it on Friday night because I don't typically have the kids with me anyways, and then
So have you seen any, let's see, how can I word this, any emotional or personality differences in me because of Star Wars Legion or because of my obsession with it. Because let's be honest out there, I'm obsessed with Star Wars Legion. Like it's not even
not just Legion. I mean, he has Star Wars underpants.
I've seen his office.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot.
Collectibles, pajamas, shirts, dishes,
everything.
I love Star Wars.
Anything Star Wars related, you have. I mean, you got.
And by the way,
man.
those underpants are boxers,
right? So they're not.
Just FYI, everybody, no tighties, just boxers.
Just boxers.
I guess you're lucky to have such an old school nerd like myself because I get it. I get it. I'm an old school Star Wars fan.
I've seen the box.
Yeah, for Valentine's Day, she gave me a original Return of the Jedi lunch pail. And
thermos.
And thermos with a bunch of Valentines. Those are secret though. But
it was mine.
Lunch pail was amazing. Yeah, and it wasn't like something she went and bought. That's something she owned.
Yeah.
Which is super dope.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool.
Yeah, you're all right.
Yeah, I do what I can.
Is there any other recommendations for the boys out there?
Yeah, just don't leave your ladies out of the loop. Just make sure, you let them know when you want to play and try to make sure they have something to do. Don't just kind of leave them sitting in the dark or just, I'm going to go do this. Try to make sure they also have an activity. And then if you're going to go away and they're not with you, bring them a present. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be anything expensive, but just, let them know you're thinking about them. And
would you say too, just even though
I got a really dope necklace when you went to Philadelphia. So
yeah,
I'm pretty happy about that.
Would you say too, like, even though you're not specifically interested in the game, that you like hearing me just talk about it, like, and tell you like things that happen?
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
Not in detail of like, so my Luke Skywalker jumped over that building and killed this unit of Z6s.
Well, absolutely. I always support you, and I want to know what you're doing and what interests you, and I'm happy to talk to you about anything you're interested in. Yeah,
and so I guess that's I was getting at that from a kind of what you should do is I think, because I've been guilty of this where I'm like, well, she don't want to know about that. Like that's what does she care?
True.
But
it makes you
it's
happy.
not true.
It makes me happy.
Exactly. That's where we're going.
Yeah.
Boom. Any other words of wisdom there, Rachel, before we send you off to the quiet zone?
I guess right.
So we can record the rest of the podcast.
May the force be with you.
Oh, nailed it.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Yeah. So that was Rachel.
Always good to have her on.
Yeah, I thought it was a good idea. We've been talking about burnout, and I'm just trying to get different aspects of the game. And I had thought, like, ever since LVO and I saw the people that brought their wives and significant others, I was like, oh, this is a good. Let's try to get the perspective of Rachel and see what she's thinking.
Get an extra outside opinion.
But so, anyways, today was an exciting day. So FFG did their live event.
Mm-hmm.
They had a little bit of technical difficulties.
Sure.
Which, to be quite honest with everybody, that's my nightmare for when we stream Adepticon.
Yeah, it's depending on how good the internet is, like you might just have to not even stream live, like record it.
I hate that. Yeah, I would hate that. That would be that's the worst case scenario.
Just put on your cell phone data plan, no big deal.
Yeah.
It's only video.
Right.
Whatever.
So anyway, for those of you that didn't watch it, Alex Davies and Luke Eddy, the two top developers for Legion, had a friendly game. They did it wasn't a normal game. I think I forgot the point level. 600 point, and they did some special thing that you can get off of FFG's website.
Yeah, it's like their mission creator.
Creator.
They did Face Off as the deployment, which looked kind of cool, where you pick a board. Like they did some cool stuff. I won't go into too much detail.
So the neat thing was, though, they spoiled. So they literally had all except for Krennic, they had all the new units that haven't been released that they've announced. With cards, with everything.
That was cool.
Not all their cards, but a good chunk of them. So they had the tank, they had the land speeder, they had Bosk, they had Sabine, they had Death Troopers.
Yeah,
and they played them, and they were talking about them, and they had a camera on the cards, and
was
so
really cool. Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of cover some of that because they spoiled a ton today.
Yeah, no, it was a good day for it.
And so for those of you who didn't get to see it, we'll kind of go over what was spoiled, the cards that were spoiled, our thoughts on what we saw. I guess number one, I'd like to start with Sabine. She is disgusting good.
Yeah, she looks real good. So I just started playing Rebels, and they just die sometimes, right? Even with heavy cover, you just get overshot and you just die. And so at first, the Imperial player in me is like, wow, she's too good. I'm like, wow, I'll never kill her because we'll get to her special cards. But the Rebel player is like, well, you need it. Like, besides Luke, no one has red dice.
Right.
And one of the guys we play was like, well, what's her purpose? I'm like, she just sit on something, like hold that point. No one's coming near it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, she's like a stupid combo of Luke and Boba. Like dude, it's crazy.
Really
she's
good.
got 3 movement.
Which is nuts.
Yeah, she surges to crit and surges to defense. She jumps 2. She has gunslinger like Han Solo. She has impervious like Boba.
Yeah.
She has nimble.
I think that's like the Mandalorian template, right? Is 3 movement, 2 armor. I mean, 2 jump because you got the jetpack. You surge in defense, and impervious is the armor. So if we ever see like I have no idea, but if we ever see like a Fen Rao get released as like a guy who's running around the battlefield, he could probably have the same stat line. Some different stuff. Yeah,
and so she's stupid good, 5 health, and red dice, which is all great. So they were playing. Luke Eddy was playing her. He was playing the Rebels, and he had the Darksaber on her. It's got 5 black dice. It has Dauntless, which is what's that one? That's the one that after you rally, if you were suppressed but not panicked, you may gain 1 suppression token to perform a free move action.
Yes.
Yeah, and then while defending against a melee unit, you're immune to Pierce, and it has Impact 1, Pierce 1.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's not quite as good as Luke, not as good as Vader for the lightsaber, but still great. Like, you hit somebody, you're gonna kill something, right?
Yeah, dude, it's really good. They had this thing. This was the first time we saw this. This was an upgrade slot, and it's only for Sabine. So you can't give it to other units. It's called the Personal Combat Shield. You gain Shielded 1. You have 1 shield token and recharge 1. When you remove,
so we're looking at the cards I showed, and we have them screen capped, but they're real fuzzy. So we're trying to read them out here. So more or less what the shield generator does is you lose 1 die, and you get 1 guaranteed block. It's real good, and we don't know much. I mean, unfortunately, after the stream, the stream was still going when I had to come over here, and then we had some stuff we had to do.
Yeah,
so we missed a lot of like if they really wanted to detail. But it's real good.
Well, and then with the cutout in the beginning and stuff, we missed a bunch there. So, we tried to catch as much as we could. Yeah, so she was really interesting. So then her cards, let me see, her command cards, clickety click, 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 sorry. So her 1 pip was basically, it's called Explosions, exclamation point. During the round this card is played, Sabine gained action Arm 2 Thermal Charge. After she performs this action, she may perform a Speed 1 move until the end of the game. Sabine gains Detonate 2 Thermal Charge. So, and then it's a red and a white with Blast, and it surges to crits.
So, if I'm correct, because she has a detonate keyword, she can detonate any bomb that you've placed, right?
She can detonate
just
thermal charge.
What do the saboteurs put down? Are they thermals?
I don't remember.
All right, yeah. I'll look at that while you're doing that.
So that was good. We saw Luke kick that off. Like Alex had a bunch of units that were kind of close together, and Luke tossed a couple thermals in there and hit all of them. Her 2-pip, Symbol of the Rebellion. When Sabine Wren activates, she recovers during Sabine Wren's activation. You may place 1 graffiti token at range 1 and in line of sight of her, touching a piece of non-area terrain. So what this symbol does is the graffiti. If you're within a certain distance, if you are on her side, you roll one extra die to get to
Remove suppression.
yeah.
All right, cool.
And then if you're on the other team, you roll one less.
Oh man, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's they're proton charge saboteurs. You can't.
Proton. Right. Okay.
I was really
That makes
hoping
sense.
maybe the
Yeah.
proton guys
No.
got because she could detonate, so you could like use those guys to put bombs around and just start detonating them like crazy. That'd
Yeah.
be cool. Give them more reason to be on the table.
And then her 3-pip was spoiled before. That was the one that she does. I think it's the Inspire one. I'm trying to find it here. Yeah, so it's the Sabine and 2 troopers. Sabine gains Inspire 1 when Sabine run issues an order to a commander, an operative, or a special unit. She gains either 1 aim token or 1 dodge token. Plus, she has the Inspire 1, which is real neat.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
So then they were also playing Bosk. So Bosk, they didn't play the grenades at all.
Oh, the
Whatever
Deox
those may be,
grenades,
they didn't
yeah.
talk about them. They didn't come out. So his 3-pip is Bosk. He gains Sharpshooter 1 after an enemy unit activates. Bosk gains 1 aim token.
That's real good. So, that's interesting. So, like, the longer you hold it, right, you get more added onto it.
Yeah.
I'd say probably 2 is when I'd probably be ready to go, because you could just, it's white dice, but you could just roll hits and you're like, oh,
Right.
yeah, all right.
Oh, so I guess maybe this is it. So I didn't see this part, so I'm sorry, guys. We're just kind of reading these as we go here.
We're doing it live.
Doing it live. I love that. So his 1-pip is called Merciless Munitions.
Yeah.
And during the round, this card is played. Boss gains action Arm 1 Deoxys charge. After he performs this action, he may perform a Speed 1 move until the end of the game. Boss gains Detonate 1 Deoxys charge. After a trooper unit defends against an attack made by your Deoxys charge, it gains 1 poison token. Do not discard this card from play. And it's a red, a black. Blast 1, it's got blast and it surges to crits. So you gain a poison. So that's the thing. So sorry about that, guys.
No, it's cool. Yeah.
We're doing it live. His 2-pip, Reptilian Rampage. So during Bosk's activation, he can perform up to 3 attack actions, and he may suffer 1 wound to perform a free move action.
Is it 3 or 2?
Oh, 2. Sorry, it's blurry.
Okay. I got real excited. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It looks like 3, though. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I thought he was 85 points for a while time until I saw the 115.
Yeah.
Right?
So that was Bosk.
Dude, that card's really powerful.
Yeah, that was good.
Because you can do 2 melee attacks, right? If you try to kill something, because he's made for melee.
Yeah. Let's see. The other interesting stuff that they spoiled. Oh, was the other pilot that comes with the tank.
Yeah.
So the Imperial Hammer's Elite Armor pilot. Dude, this one. So this is for any Imperial vehicle.
Any ground vehicle.
And it's surge to hit. He gives
Yep.
you surge to hit for 10 points like that. And an ATST is stupid.
Yeah, it's really good. It's because the other one they showed was a while ago was after you complete a full movement, get a name token.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, we'll go over the Rebel one shortly, but that's the ATST. I don't want to say needed that because I'll have to play with it and see if it's too good now. Because you're shooting a Palpatine laser.
Yeah.
Palpatine shoots an ATST laser, but he's got surge to crit, so it's nuts, right? But man, nothing's more disappointing when you roll surges on an ATST for anything. You're like, because it might as well be a 0, right? You're like, all right, well, 2 hits.
Yeah, it's really good. I think between the tank and the upgrades, the pilot upgrades and stuff, I think we're going to see a real resurgence of armor when that tank comes
and
out.
I mean, right? So this is what we were getting at. So like tap weapons don't exist because DLTs are real good for the most part, killing stuff. But maybe Ion becomes the way to beat it. Maybe you just can't kill it before it kills you now.
So that was interesting. One of the things I did watch on the stream before I had to stop was the Pathfinders, I believe.
Use Biston.
He had Biston, and I think he was the only one left, and he ioned the tank.
Yeah.
And just like stopped it in its tracks. And so that was really good.
Because if you get 2 Ion tokens on something, it gets no action.
Right.
So, maybe when you're looking at your Rebel Trooper squad, instead of just going to the Z6 and not even looking at the grenade launcher. Maybe you're like 2 red and an ion. Okay, because they're trying to make those recover things become a thing, because everything new coming out that's good recover.
Yeah.
Like you tap it, you do it.
Yeah, I gotta look at the HH12s again. And I mean, there's some other stuff. DLTs are still stupid good. But then you get, like Veers gives you that his 3-pip lets you recover.
Veers becomes way better. Because
Yeah.
normally it's 3 pips to throw away. You're like,
Yeah.
I guess I'll take suppression off somebody, but now it's like, well, I need my rocket launchers back. Or on an ATSD, because I think Veers 2 units, like Veers Wise is back, right? Like
Yeah.
it's again, like if vehicles become a thing, which would be fine, like then you have to start making those, like, because a grenade launcher choice for rebels is almost as much as another group of rebels. It's like 32 points for it, where a group of rebels is 40.
Yeah.
Right now, it does not make sense to take him for value of like activation shots, but maybe it will. Maybe you're like, I need 2 grenade launchers so I can lock down an ATSD, and the ATSD guy goes, and we're going to take the gamble. They're not going to bring 2 ion weapons,
Right,
and
yeah.
I get to run free and do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Or am I going to just have a 200-point thing that play all game, right? Like that's the Legion that I think they wanted. Because right now it's not really that. It's just you don't have to worry. Like a vehicle, it's dead, right? Like
Yeah.
I'll just take this. So
Yeah, and we'll stick on vehicles before we get to Death Troopers. But I mean, I saw so there's this great term. I don't know if it was the internet or if they came up with it, but they call the tank the snowmobile.
yeah,
Because basically, and Alex Davies did this in the game.
Yeah.
He loaded a unit of snow troopers on there. They had point considerations, so they didn't have grenades. So it was a flame trooper and a squad. He moved the tank up, and then he disembarked. So he only moved once with the tank, so he could
Yep.
disembark and move with the snow troopers. So he disembarked, moved, fried a bunch of rebels
because of steady.
steady on the snow troopers, and then just moved them around the corner so they weren't in line of sight anymore. It was the coolest thing, and I was like, at that moment when I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, I'm running snow troopers
in that tank, right?
Yeah.
The worst part was I looked at their game and it was pretty wholesome.
Yeah.
Right? It was just like and wholesome. I mean, like there wasn't like like it has to have frag grenade. It was just like snow troopers, a flame trooper.
He's playing naked storms.
Naked storms, and like I look at that and I'm like, I think that's their vision of Legion, right?
Yeah.
Like I just you'll just take a group of rebels with nothing. Look, and then as the competitive scene, like no, it has to have a Z6, right? Like it's garbage that Z6. So it's interesting to see what they were like playing this like wholesome, fun. That's a great first game for somebody, right? To get like those 2.
This is what I loved the most. It may be a silly thing to love about it, but all the spoilers are great, and watching the 2 creators, developers, designers play this was great. My favorite part was it looked like just 2 of us playing, because like Luke would be like, oh yeah, this guy does, and then Alex is like, oh yeah, he does do that. I forgot he does that. Like he just it just sounded like a couple, and then Luke kept dropping dice, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh my god, this is just like us, you know?
Because they're like still a little competitive and a little snarky to each other. Like you realize that the same people who are making the game are the same people playing the game.
Yeah.
And that's good, because you get that disconnect sometimes with some games you play. You're like, whoever's making this is not playing it. Like a lot, right?
And Luke said something funny on our interview that I think some people passed over. Like, I always get this answer when we raise questions about like, why did they do that? Well, they're the developers. Like, you shouldn't question them. Like, they don't. And they've played this. Trust me, they've played this.
Yeah.
And even Luke said in the interview with us, he's like, listen, man, we made the game, but like, you guys play more than we do.
Yeah.
Like way more than we do.
Yeah.
So you're going to find stuff we're just not going to find. Like, and I try to remind people of that. And it's almost like when we deal with these companies, any big company, we treat them as if they have all the answers and they're just like perfect. Like, okay, I'm going to bring this up because this actually really bothered me about the stream. So they had stream problems.
Yep.
It's happened to the best of us, right?
Yep.
YouTube, I was on YouTube first, and then I moved over to Twitch because I heard Twitch was working. Dude, people were losing their collective minds. Like, it's free content, man.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they
it's-
didn't have to do this, and people are just being so nasty on there. Like,
That's what always gets me is people act like they're paying for this, right? Like
Yeah.
it's, I get, like, let's say you pay for your internet and you pay for your WoW subscription, and then your character gets deleted or something like that. You're paying for these services.
lose your
right?
mind then.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
fine. You bring your car into the shop,
Right. Or you bought a unit from FFG and it's missing parts.
Yeah.
Lose your mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure, then you email, but like when people do podcasts, I see this mostly in X-Wing, like when someone will say something, a hot take,
Yeah.
right, and then like people just destroy them, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you didn't. Maybe if you're a Patreon and you paid for it, but most people, by the looks of it, are not. Like, it's free content, man. Like,
Right. FFG did not have to spoil all these cards.
Yeah.
Like they were so kind. In the Twitch feed, the reason we have these cards is because they would maybe not show a card real quick, or they would show it real quick. And then somebody on the Twitch feed would at FFG and be like, yo, dude, can you show that card again? Can you show this card? We have a question about this card. They were literally in the Twitch feed. They were pointing out and asking questions about the game or the units. And then the guy was, I forgot, I'm so sorry, but I forgot the other dude's name that was on the stream.
Yeah.
But like he was telling Luke and Alex, like, oh, hey, we got a question from stream. Like, dude, are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah, so I'm not trying to be an apologist for them or anything. Like I'm not a shill, but it's on the same point. It's not cool when somebody's doing something out of the kindness, because they didn't have to show us anything,
Well,
right?
it's a marketing ploy.
It sure is a marketing
Sure,
thing. I get that, but
Yeah.
like they didn't have to do
No.
this, right? Like,
Well, and that's what I'm saying too. Like, no, yeah. Like, listen, I think we've proven on this podcast that we'll call them out when we think they're doing stupid
100%.
stuff.
It's just
This was one of those cool things that they were doing. Yeah, man, the stream messed up. Guess what? Sometimes, as someone who streams, as someone who's done this, as someone
sucks
who's
sometimes.
on our way to Adepticon to stream,
Yeah.
I'm terrified because I'm afraid that's going to happen to us. Because sometimes things are just out of your control, and you just can't do anything about it, man.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't help it. And like a bunch of anonymous dorks on YouTube and Twitch yelling at them about how the sound's not working. Like 100 messages in a row.
Yeah.
And even the dude like typed and was like, yeah, we know. We're working on it. We're doing our best.
Yeah.
And then just 100 more. The sound's not working. This isn't working. Like they freaking know, man. Like you repeating the same phrase that 10 other people have repeated before you
Yeah.
doesn't make it go any faster. It doesn't make the AV guy on the other side go, oh, I didn't know the first 99 times that you wrote this that there was a sound problem, but for some reason that 100th guy really registered with me. So let me go ahead and fix that sound for you.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's an anonymous chat. Like that's just always gonna
Dude,
like be a thing.
they just people are so entitled and privileged to free content, and it's just like, dude, chill. Like they're doing something for free. You just got to watch. Eventually, granted, it was a little annoying. I get it. It
Yeah.
sucks because you really wanted to see it, but it was free. They just did it, and you just got to watch the two designers play the game that they designed and preview all this stuff that they didn't preview before.
Yeah,
Like,
that's really cool.
dude, you should count yourself lucky.
Yeah, good.
And-
Imagine seeing that from like Games. Like Games Workshop maybe does that, but like not many others will do. Like the designer itself won't stream and play. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I just don't see that much.
Right. And I want to say this was only like their 13th live. So like they're going through growing pains. Like we
Yeah.
went through growing pains, man. Like we had audio problems our first few podcasts. Like
Yeah.
everybody chill. This is a great phrase that Evan and I were talking about earlier, is this isn't the hill you want to die on.
Yeah, it's just not. There's so many other things.
Like why? The guy that's doing the stream doesn't run the company. He doesn't even run the marketing department. He's just a dude running a stream. Like
it's-
chill.
It's funny because you see like if you ever watch Shut Up and Sit Down, they do board game, they do like live streams, and they started where they had issues, and now they're pretty smooth. But like, it just you got to learn from doing it, man. Like
Yeah.
I used to do an X-Wing podcast a lot, and man, our first two were terrible. They were
Right.
so unlistenable because it's just how the sound came out, and I learned more as I go. So it's just well, you know what it is sometimes.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm sorry. We'll get back to the units. Sorry about that, guys. That just really bugged me today. So Bosk, he has bounty. I think we
Yep.
talked about this before,
Yep.
but I'll just cover it real quick. He has Enrage 3.
Mhm.
It's similar to Chewie's, but when he gets to 3 or more wounds, you treat your courage like you do Vader, where
Yeah.
it's just the
Yeah.
dash. So he loses all his suppression at that point
Yeah, same. Yep.
because he can't gain suppression
Yeah.
anymore. But he has regenerate 3. So when you regenerate, you go back and then you can gain that suppression again and then get back to
He's real
the
interesting.
dash.
He's got white evade dice, so he's gonna
Yeah.
take some damage.
Seven wounds, 2 courage. He surges to crits. It's not bad.
He's not bad. I'm just like,
Unhindered.
you know, one thing that's gonna happen to me is when I need that enrage and I get it, and then I heal when I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, garbage.
Right.
Like, but then again, you could run behind a rock, like where Boba Fett can't get hit points back unless you get that medical droid next to him. If Boba Fett's about to die and you want to go run and hide, but they get him, like if Boss gets to go run and hide, he'll just regen back up, right?
Yeah. So it's at the end. So regen at the end of your activation, you roll 1 white defense die for each wound token you have, up to 3. And for each surge or shield result, you remove a wound token.
It's not guaranteed, but maybe
Oh, it's pretty good.
you gotta like, you know, maybe he's
Well,
that guy.
I think you like you said, you get the medical droids to heal him, but then if you're like but then you use kind of regenerate as a backup.
So maybe you're playing intercept the transmissions,
Yeah.
right? He gets beat up, and you're like, I'm not gonna be able to kill her Vader or something, right? He's just not gonna happen. So you throw him back on that last point, and you could move like in another infantry up, so he can just sit there and heal and keep the point. No one's gonna go after Bosk, right? Like that's sending a group of anything near it, unless it's like Royal Guard or Wookiees is kind of insane, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was. I mean, that's most everything. It was pretty.
Yep, we got Death Troopers.
Oh, Death Troopers. Yeah,
They're,
I'm sorry.
they're
Thanks. I
gone.
got it.
Yep.
Oh, and then the land speeder. Let's
Yep.
do land speeder real quick because I'm on those cards. So we saw the RPS 6 rocket gunner. So it's only for the land speeder.
Yep.
Impact 2, 2 to 4 range, and it rolls a red, a black, and a white for 36 points.
They call it the Rainbow
Yeah.
when it does that.
And then the A300 rifle gunner, only for the land speeder, 1 to 3 range with 2 white dice for 9 points.
A couple points of note for that. One, they shoot 360, so
Yeah.
they're not stuck in an arc,
Right.
which is really cool.
Yep.
Another point is they're saying the models can be put in a couple different places along the, like you can put them anywhere you want in the vehicle.
Yeah.
And also like you can put the legs the other side. Like they said they really want to make it pretty much as customizable as they can.
Yeah.
All right. So that's cool that they're like with the different arms coming out, and the different Vader coming out, for the Star Wars Celebration, that special Vader. They're showing that they're willing to do like
Yeah.
extra.
I think that,
stuff.
well, yeah, I think that's going to be big now.
Yeah, I mean, with the Hyena bomber for Adepticon for X-Wing, that you can only get that paint job there, which isn't. That's fine. It's paint, right? You can
Right.
paint that, but the Vader thing is
Yeah, it's neat.
it's neat and it's a bit of a sting because I'm like, I want to go get the Vader,
Yeah.
and then I heard the guy who plays Poe Dameron's going to be there, and I'd love to get an X-Wing card signed by him. Like,
Yeah. That's like the week after Adepticon, I think. Celebration.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I just can't.
So the land speeder has Arsenal 3, so it comes with the driver has a blaster pistol that's a 1 to 2 for 2 white dice.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not
fine.
bad.
Yeah.
Armor 2, so you can cancel up to 2 hit results. Cover 1, light transport 1, so you could carry 1 mini.
Yep. So like you probably want to carry a hero
mini.
or something.
Yeah, hero. Yeah. Speeder 1, so you ignore terrain at height 1. 6 health, 4 of the unit vehicle damage
Yep.
threshold. Surge on both, and you surge to hit. Yeah, and then they also previewed the other. They spoiled the other pilot. So it's an outer rim speeder jockey. It's rebel only for any repulsor vehicle, and you gain cover 1.
You know, we were talking about this too. Where like that's objectively just better than Wedge,
Yeah,
right? To have that cover 1, and we're like, well, Wedge is supposed to be like the man, right? And then to
Yeah.
have like this nobody.
outer rim speeder jockey is better
Yeah.
than Wedge. Like,
yeah,
get
yeah.
outta
There's
here.
like nobody, taking his spot because it's cover 2
right.
on a speeder. That's great. Like Impact
Yeah.
2, like those DLTs don't hurt so bad anymore
Yeah,
because you roll. It's like 2 dice.
right.
And-
So you do cover before impact.
Yep. And
Yep.
so you're always getting 1 die. Nope. Right. They'd have to roll crits at least, but then
Yeah.
like that fixes it. Right.
Right.
That fixes my issue more or less. Not 100% fixed, but like
No.
it's good. Right.
I think it would be fixed if they had a better backwards gun.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean the ground buzzer, like it doesn't surge to hit. So
Yeah.
I was really, part of me was like going to build a T-47 and try to, be like, oh, no one's bringing anti-vehicle, bring a vehicle. But I'm like, I'm going to be heads up for Adepticon. If you bring a vehicle, I think you're gonna be really upset.
Yep.
My list has no vehicles in it now, but I didn't want to have that day where I'm like, oh, more DLTs. Okay, sorry, guy.
So Death Troopers. Disciplined 1, when you are issued an order, you may remove up to 1 suppression token. Precise 2, so reroll up to 2 additional dice. So you're rerolling 4 dice.
That's pretty good.
Ready 1, after you perform a standby action, gain 1 aim token.
Yeah.
So they close quarter combat, they roll a red die. They have 1 health per mini. They have a 2 courage, red dice, surge on both defense and offense. They have 2 guns without an upgrade. So they have the SE-14R light blaster, which is a 1-2 range for 2 white dice. That's that fleet trooper.
Yep.
And then you have a regular blaster rifle, 1-3 for a black.
Yeah,
so that's
pretty good. So
into the rebel territory, right? So that card alone for 76 points for 4 troopers, dude, that's worth it right there.
yeah, I think they're going to be built at probably close to 100 because there's we're going to talk about the next leader, but they also have like a DLT that they haven't.
Yeah.
I don't know if the points got spoiled yet, but I think you're going to be running these guys at about 100 points. And my dream of having Krennic and 4 Death Trooper squads is becoming real.
So they do have, they have a leader. It's the DTF-16.
It's the girl in Rebels who talked.
Okay.
Because the reason why the Death Troopers talk is garbled is because it's I thought they were zombies actually because they're called Death Troopers. And there's an old Star Wars book about zombie troopers.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of like a nod to them. I was wrong. Death Troopers are just really good. They're the best boys. But when they talk as garbled, it's because it's encrypted, and that's why it's garbled. Because when they talk to each other, it's garbled.
Yeah.
To make sure no one can hear what they're saying, which is pretty cool. But she's the character from Rebels who talked normally to some people.
Oh, okay. So she can only go in the Death Troopers. You gain Compel. After another friendly unit at range 1-2 suffers... Wait, what? Rallies. If it's suppressed but not panicked, it gains 1 suppression token to perform a free... So you can...
Take a suppression.
Take a suppression to get a free move action.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then she becomes a leader for 22 points. Then they showed the E-110 focus. So your E-110 blaster rifle. So this was something that we got wrong when we were talking to Nick. All the upgrade weapons, you treat them like you would treat grenades.
Yep,
so you choose when you can use them. So the E-10 blaster rifle that the Death Troopers come with their upgrade card for 8 points. They have one that's extends the range to 4.
Yep.
For the one black, it exhausts though when you use it. It has reconfigure and it has suppressive.
Yeah, it's really good.
So that's, and then the flip side of that on the reconfigure is the grenade launcher config for that, which is basically a 1-2 for red die. That exhausts as well, and then has blast.
You know what? I'd be okay if more exhaust cards came out. And
it's looking that way.
And that's, I think it was a mistake to make like Z6s. And now that, again, like hindsight's 2020. I'm not a game designer. I don't by any means. But anytime you get anything that does something for free in a game is generally bad. That's why Magic cards are never free. That's like, it's just because you got to have some payment on them or else it. And I wonder if like DLTs and the Z6s, if they were tapped, would have done something different.
Yeah, maybe. I think the difference is though because they're upgraded weapons that even if they exhaust, you can still use the base weapon. You're not locked in.
That's fair.
You still have 2 weapons that aren't exhausted that you can use on them. So you have the 1-2 range one and then the 1-3 range one.
Oh yeah, I'm not talking about Death Troopers. I'm talking about just in general.
Just like, they're so versatile.
Like if there's Z6s and like if any add-on heavy guy was a tap, that like I wonder if that would have made it more. I guess why would you ever take the DLT at that point? Yeah, it's rough. I don't know. I don't know the answer. You just ignore me. But it's kind of me thinking.
I think cover 2 on the. I think the extra cover on the T-47 really helps. I think
can't
that changes
get picked apart at range 4.
No.
Like when you see a vehicle with range 4, when I was running Veer's bikes, it's like, well, that's dead. like, okay, see you later, right? Because even the bikes have impact. Right?
Yeah.
It was just like everything I had was anti-vehicle, like whether or not you like it. So I don't know. I'm excited to see more tap because I think Bisten's really good. Like he's a tap, but he shoots a whole other army.
Yeah.
It's black and 4 white or something. It's like,
Oh yeah, he's super good. And then they like recover, so you just you're doing that anyways. I mean, it's dumb good.
because like who recovered before any of these cards? Like you maybe if
Right.
you had a lot of suppression, you did get rid of suppression. That's the only like.
I would almost wonder if they're gonna do like the next commander, or they're gonna do some sort of like generic card where when you give an order you recover or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then now you can I shot and tapped all these guns or configurations, and then my next turn I play like a 3-pip that's pick 3 trooper units, and
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
and they get to recover.
I know Veers is.
Veers does that.
He becomes really good now because he used to just be like your throwaway, right? You're like,
Dude,
"Ah."
him with Death Troopers,
Yeah,
and then
their
they
stuff back.
recover. Oh my god!
Yeah,
oh
it's-
my god!
that's real good.
Yeah.
I'm
Stupid
excited,
good.
and I'm also I see all this new stuff coming, and I wonder if they regret not doing the app,
Yeah.
like with point changes and things like
Yeah.
that, because I really like the X-wing. Like we just had a hot emergency points increase on one particular ship and an upgrade because it was 3 ships, had like 36 health. You could start like shooting somebody right. It was bad first impression if you're ever
Yeah.
playing the game. Not that Legion. So the nice thing about Legion is really not a bad first impression list. It's not like a degenerate like
Nope.
you're playing it. Not yet.
Nope.
And this is just me. We're kind of.
I don't know. Based on what I'm seeing, I don't think there ever is going to be. There's too many options.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I know. Like, I hate round 0 stuff, so I don't like maximum firepower, and I don't like coordinated bombardment. Because sometimes you just lose your snipers.
Sometimes if
or
you play them wrong.
Yeah, if you play them wrong, but like, it happens to the new guy, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
I wonder. Like, I hope when the next set comes out, I doubt they will, but if they just go they take the points off the cards, and they just do like an app for point adjustments.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Because then they could fix it more on the fly. We wouldn't have to get these like so this is starting to like I've seen like X-Wing 1.0 kind of did this where like, oh well, that unit's struggling, so we're gonna release this card that makes it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a spiral of like
Yeah.
weapons like arms race. Now nothing shown here do I think is that oppressive or bad. It's no harpoon missile or TLT or anything like that
Right.
from X-Wing where it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe they released this. It all looks fine, honestly. Like I look at it and I'm like, yeah, it's good. I just see the more stuff they're adding, and like everybody said when that speeder one came out, they're like, "Oh, finally T-47." I'm like, "Is that why they made it?" Because if that's the real reason they made that guy, I'm like, I just don't want to see like this arms race happen, and then it all collapses when it just gets too crazy. So I just hope maybe in the next set the clone, and again we're going way off target, but I've just been thinking about this for a week after the emergency points update happened for X-Wing. That it would be really cool if they're like, hey, you know what? We think the H12, H11 rocket launcher, it's a little expensive, so we're going to drop it 5 points.
Well, yeah, I mean, really, that if they had done that from the beginning, they could have easily fixed the T-47.
Yeah, right. They're like, it's 150 now, right? Like instead of 175. Like that'd be fine.
Yeah,
that'd be okay.
That would change. Yeah, that would make a huge difference.
Or even like, so I'm hoping maybe this next set they'll get rid of the point cost, because at this point it's a whole new 2 armies that don't interact with these really that much. Again, this is just dreaming, but I think that's the correct way to go. Because even if you don't use the official app, because the official X-Wing app is bites, it's just not great. But so many third parties care in the update that I think that would help breathe some life into the game early, and so they could fix stuff like, well, maybe. You're like, oh, we goofed up on this new unit coming out. It's a little too good for the point cost, so we're gonna raise it 5 point. Like, right? It doesn't have to be crazy stuff. It's just like a little nudges here and there that don't affect us so much can help the game. So I'm wondering if they're like looking back and they're thinking, man, wish we had done the app instead of printing the point cost on the card.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you could still fix that, right? And just say, ignore the points.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We're doing it all through the app now.
That's true. And I honestly, I'd be so excited if they announced that Adepticon that, because that just means they're really like they can fix something on the fly.
Yeah.
Right. Like hey, we looked at the last Worlds, and it seemed like everybody played Rebels, and Han Solo was in every list, and he is going up in points because he's obviously real good, right? Like we undercosted him or something. Do I think Han Solo's undercosted?
No.
Not at all.
Right.
But I mean, like, it's
yeah,
just
the
an
T-47
example.
would be a perfect example where we're all sitting here going, it's broken, it's broken, it's broken, because we haven't seen everything that's out. Like this
Yeah.
cover one changes things. But before that, like they could have, if they had this app going from the beginning, they could have been like, all right, it's 115 or 125 or
Yeah,
something now,
yeah.
right?
Just
There's
to
50
see.
points less. Go for
Right.
it.
And then, because then,
And
we
then
get-
when that new pilot comes out, you go, okay, now the T-47's going up in price.
yeah, because this is going to be that, or because they even like had to change that ruling how weapons destroyed worked, right?
Right.
They had to retcon that whole thing, and I do like how the rules are living.
Yeah.
The problem with that though is like if you don't have the current, like I print out the new rules because I'm a nut and I like having the paper
Me
because I
too.
hate when everyone's scrolling on their phone to try to get to that.
Me too.
You know, whatever. I just print them out, bring them to the store.
But it's easier for me to read and like comprehend.
Yeah, and if
Yeah.
you have to like show someone, you're not showing them your phone. You're like here on the
Yeah.
paper. But let's say I have the last ruling, right? Like let's say I wasn't in the know. You know, like that can kind of stink. Or if you buy the core rule book's not quite right anymore.
Yeah.
With some of the stuff. So it's I like the living rule set because I can fix things on the fly. Like weapons destroyed was dumb. Like the fact that you lose your gun completely, it would just ruin the T-47. Like
Yeah, I mean, you had that pilot with the cover one now, and then
Yeah.
that new weapons destroyed ruling.
it's worth it. Like
It actually may be worth it again.
yeah, why not even just try it, right? Like you feel like you can experiment again instead of just like no, it's just gonna
Agreed.
get gunned down. Like
Yeah, and I mean, they clearly aren't afraid of errata cards. Like, they fixed limited viz this last update. They fixed a lot of stuff.
no, it's I'm happy they're doing it. The trouble with those printed cards is like some will be in circulation that are not fixed, and it's just the way of how it is. Fantasy Flight likes their cards.
Well, most of them will be in circulation without being fixed unless, like I know Impact X is doing
Yeah.
part of his Patreon and stuff, and like he gave them out at LVO,
Yeah,
the
the
errated
fixes,
cards.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool. So people can do that, but yeah, most of them are going to be not fixed. So you just got to pay attention.
The FFG likes his cards, which is important because nothing's worse than like you play 40K. I know I keep knocking on it, and I don't mean to, but like there's like 12 armies now, and like new ones come out, and
Yeah.
then you're like, someone's like, well, I reroll ones and I do this and that, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, that
like, there's a huge book you got to read through with the FFG. You just say, here's my card.
That was always a tough thing with fantasy, and I love fantasy. Somebody made a comment on our podcast about that. Jay sounds like an old school fan. Yes, I am. Like, I literally. So this is just a funny little anecdote. Side note. So I'm trying to redo my office and get like a space for the podcast and stuff. And so part of that is kind of picking up and cleaning up old games that I'm not really
Yeah.
touching anymore. I literally filled 2 giant totes, like the 5 foot by like
The coffins.
3 foot
Yeah.
totes of just Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, I legit, when I tell you, podcast listeners, I legit have, actually, I'll name them all because this is fun. I had Tomb Kings, 3,000 points. Orcs and Goblins, 3,500 points. Bretonians, 3,000 points. Empire, 3,000 points. Wood Elves, 3,000 points. Dark Elves, 3,000 points.
Jeez.
High Elves, 3,000
Good
points.
Lord. And like all the same thing. Oh, not the same
Yeah,
thing, but they're all
yeah.
like elves and empire.
Yeah, I also had I had 500 points, or no, 1,000 points of vampires, and so I was like, I'm working it up, but like yeah, I mean I was legit, but like so the long way around to this is they all came with their own core set, their own core booklet
Yeah.
to talk about what they do, and like I remember early on. And even later in like 8th edition, I didn't have everything memorized.
Yeah.
And so, Chaos, that's the other army I have. I have 3,000 of that too. And so like I didn't have everything memorized. So when you go up against someone like, let's say, like I didn't have the lizards or dwarfs like I could care less about those 2 units
Yeah.
or ogres, right? I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Or what was the other one? Beastmen. Like I just don't care about any of those. And
Yeah.
so like I'd face one of those armies. I'd be like, wait, what do they do? And this, and then you had to have cheat sheets and like blah 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 blah. It was like a whole. And I loved that game. Like this is not a slight. I loved 8th edition fantasy. Loved it. But yeah, it's complex, man. There's a lot of stuff, and I like back to Legion. It's easier when the rules are just one rules and the cards just say what they.
Cards
Yeah,
do it for me, man. Like I want to get into Warhammer. I've got a Space Marine army, and the new box set, Shadow Spear, just got released with all new models. And they look awesome. I want them,
Yeah.
but we have a thriving Warhammer community in Syracuse, and they play like Thursday night. You can't get a space at Comic Zone, which is great, and I want to be in there. But like, I also have no idea, right? Like I know, like I've learned, like the rules are like 8 pages now, which sounds like a lot, but it's not too bad. But it's all the faction specific things, and I just have to always take your word for it.
Yep.
And with Legion and X-Wing at this point, Legion is becoming a point where I just have memorized everything. And because if I don't know, you show me the card, right? Like you just like, hey, this is what Vader does. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, he does that.
And that's part of the thing too. Like, I want to. How can I say this? I want to preface this with saying you should memorize most of it, but like, you're not required to.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to know what all the rebels do. You can be like, what does that do again?
Yeah.
And then you just read the card before you start the match.
Yep.
It's so easy.
That's actually a pro tip from Jay and Evan is never not read what the opponent has on stuff. When someone goes,
Evan got burnt by that. Literally.
Okay. So first time I just spent like.
Let's do this. So Evan switched to Rebels.
Yeah.
I like this topic. So Evan has switched to Rebels.
Yep.
Evan tells Jay, hey man, I got this great list. I'm going to try Pathfinders and Jin and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so he mistakenly sent me his list because you know we all do this in the community, right? We send each other our lists and we're like, hey, how's this list look? I'm like, yeah, that looks good. And I literally built a list that would just destroy it.
So I put we had this platform in the middle of the board.
Yep.
It was raised up, and so I put all my Pathfinders on it. I had 3 things of Pathfinders and Jin. And Han Solo and Chewie. It was a bad list, but I had them all in the beginning. And
hold on, let me back that up. There are no bad lists when you're testing stuff out. I want that to be clear to everybody in podcast land. Like, yeah, you're just playing, man. This wasn't a tournament. You're testing new units. You did something crazy with Han, Chewie, Jin, Pathfinders. I liked it. I thought it was interesting and fun.
Everything on the board.
And you're just trying things out so you can learn what you like and don't like. So no one should ever feel bad for that.
Fair. It was Biston, Pow. Like I had everybody, every model I could put on there, and I was so pumped because I pre-ordered them. I spent like
so excited.
$75 on these guys. It's gonna be great.
So we got turn 0.
Turn 2, it was over.
No. Yeah. So your turn 0, you had everything you wanted.
Yep.
Long march.
Yep.
Recover the supplies.
Dude, I'm like, all these Pathfinders have to do is hold him back for a turn, and then Jin will take the box and run, and I win. Right? Like it's.
Yeah.
And then.
So I was playing. I was playing Veers, ATST fully loaded with Vice.
Didn't even care about that thing.
2 snowtroopers. Here's the trap.
Yeah.
With frags, flamethrowers, and recon intel.
The recon intel, that's what really got me. So the ATST shot killed one guy and shot everything. I'm like, cool, whatever.
Wasn't the point.
Yeah, get out of here.
Suppression was the point.
And then those things, each snowtrooper moved up. I just didn't pull my guys. Moved up, removed an entire Pathfinder. They were just in range 1. And after you did that, like around turn 2, I'm like, dude, you win. I give up. Because it's like he killed everything. Like in the sniper. Also, the snipers were nuts. It was like 2 crits.
My snipers were super hot. And then, Evan, after the snowtrooper debacle, I think Evan mentally quit a little bit.
Oh,
and
sure
he
did.
couldn't see that the DLTs all had line of sight on.
So on that one, there's another platform like that at our hobby shop where you can't see the units in the middle of the board from the ground. This one you could. I didn't check. It was a platform. I wasn't thinking. So Jin died immediately too, and I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm good. Like I have Han Solo, Chewie, 3 Rebel Troopers, and there's a box in the middle of that platform with your whole army left. You're like, you want to keep playing? I'm like, not at all. And so I drove home so dejected.
Yeah, I'll be honest. That was super mean of me. I definitely did that. Well, okay. The snowtroopers for sure.
That was the worst part, though.
Yeah, but there was only 2. The ATST was more of for fun.
Those
I wanted
to
play
60 or 70 point guys, or however they were removed over it was like 250 points worth of dudes.
They killed so much.
Dude, it was so bad. I was just like, he taught me a lesson. Like I gotta like read stuff, but also that's counterpicking's real crappy. So
Sure
that's
is, buddy.
just what it is. And so I made a new list, and I'm just like, I want to play. Jay's like, what is it? I'm like, I'm not telling you. Like, it's just like I'm not giving you what this is doing.
Yeah, Evan and I were talking about this earlier. I'm in a tricky place. I'm not playing competitively as far as like the big tournaments for a little while because we're going to be streaming and stuff. And so like we got a couple local tournaments coming up and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Like, sure, I could play my Veers list that I've been doing really, really well at. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know if it doesn't matter. I kind of want to play around and find a cool list.
Like
that's
our
fun.
one this weekend's not even prizes because the new kit's not out. So
I'm bringing prizes.
All right.
Hey,
Well,
for you listening out there, come up to Syracuse. I'm bringing 5th Trooper prizes for placing.
fair, but no new like
No kits.
no kit prizes.
It's just store credit and whatever we're bringing.
Like it's so you like it's the thing when I see like an X-wing event and I like the Fantasy Flight prizes.
Yeah.
That's why I play competitively because I like meeting people. I like playing the game. I like the challenge, but I also like the prizes. Like they do Fantasy Flight even for Rune Wars. I thought about getting into Rune Wars for a while because I'm like, oh, they make some cool stuff.
Yeah, they've really been missing out on that, right? Like X-wing, like I always listen to Evan. I've never played competitively. I've just played for fun, both 1-0 and 2-0 with you a little bit. But I always listen to Evan. He's just telling all these great stories about all these prize support and all this prizes for X-wing, and then like even
Two Legions got nothing.
Yeah,
it literally like the last wave kit had spot gloss heroics full art. To me, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like I use that card a lot, but also
you guys get dice and like these
that's
super cool tokens.
That's the next thing.
Yeah.
So like they did arcade tokens with everything. Like these metal tokens, people are split. I love them because I love arcade tokens. They did force tokens. They did charge tokens, and now the new regionals are coming up, and they have these new smoky dice with the colored symbols. And it really kills me because like if I have a choice, I'm playing Legion this weekend because it's Legion. I haven't got to play. I got to get some games in for Adepticon. But then, like, if an X-Wing regional is the same day, I would do the regional in a heartbeat, even if they had a prize kit for Legion, because they haven't shown anything yet.
Yeah, I guess dice would be hard though. I was just thinking about that. Like you can make them like marbled or something, or like you can't really change the color, right?
Well, you can't. But they do. Like X-Wing's done a lot with dice, keeping the colors.
Yeah.
Like the new X-Wing ones they're smoke black, but there's green. The inlay for things green and the red. So like. But they had like sparkle dice, see-through dice, milky dice. Like they've done like everything.
So, it's just weird. It's
I know I'm like freaking out about prize dice, but like I just like this stuff, man.
No, I'm with you.
Cool.
Like I think Armada players will hate when I say this, but I feel like sometimes it's like Legion's they're just kind of like, that's Legion, and it's like, wait, what? Like I understand it's the first year, but like, dude, we're putting on huge tournaments. Like,
I mean, Nova sold out immediately.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? Like,
I'm really surprised they haven't shown high command prizes yet.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe they're going to start. They got a whole different OP system. It's all new, so maybe it'll start being a bigger deal.
Let's real talk for a minute about the current prize system. The full art cards are cool. They're actually real cool.
Yeah, they're all right.
But those tokens stink.
The tokens are the worst.
The suppression and the panic ones look good. But everything else, like the dodge, the aim, they kind of stink. Like you look at even Litco, and they're like the bottom.
Right.
Right. You can go to like Curled Paw. The guy does great work. There's other people who make NFTs. He makes some great tokens, but they don't even look like Litco quality. Like they really got phoned in.
Yeah.
And do you remember those coins we got the first kit?
Yeah.
Those we thought they were like commander tokens, but they're really just for leader. Who's your dead leader?
Who's your leader? Yep.
But those were real legit, and I'm like, oh wow, prizes are gonna be like this. This is gonna be great. And the last two kits were like 100 of this card. So what kills me is that the cards aren't special.
Yeah.
Right. There's not like again, I know spot glasses are expensive to make, but like
they're not that expensive.
and they're not that bad that they couldn't put a couple in, right? Like there's not like a spot gloss snowtrooper.
Right.
Or like that, or like the fact that they only put Han out at like last Gen Con, so he's like $200, $150 you want him. Or that Veers Leia one's like $100 now.
Yeah.
Like it's really like those are cool cards. Make those like first, second, third place prizes for these little kits.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get people in, because right now, like we got the kit, we had so many extra cards that no one no, I'm good on ATRTs.
Yeah.
Like I don't need any more. I don't need.
I mean,
more
listen,
E-Webs.
I did like the E-Webs because I did end up playing two,
but you got
I got
45.
like 6.
Yeah, like
I
it's,
got so many, it was ridiculous.
and I know the prizes aren't
Oh,
everything, but
And then the full art 5th trooper for like the stormtroopers and the rebels,
Yeah,
like
they're-
no one even freaking plays those.
yeah, again, like I remember getting them, like, oh, these look cool.
Yeah.
And then when I first started and I added an extra trooper to everything I did, I'm like, yeah. But now, like in the competitive scene, we're not talking casual.
Yeah.
This is competitive because it's just what we do.
Right.
You're crazy to take an extra troop. You could those 4 extra troops you're taking. That's a whole nother squad, right? You're just looking like you're like how you're building, and it just like I get on these tangents with Jay. I'm like, oh my god, they just showed like the new regionals for X. We got these dice and these templates, and they get these cards, and I get all pumped. And I'm like, oh, what do they do for Legion? And it's just like. Those like I say, Armada's like, well, we haven't even gotten a new ship in a year, right? Like, and where's our Super Star Destroyer? That was supposed to be. So we are definitely not because we get at least new article every other week.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Sorry, Imperial Imperial guys,
Yeah.
Imperial like specialists. You didn't get anything, but
Sometimes they're like, nah, we're just not gonna do it.
I mean, we still get more than Armada, I suppose.
Yeah.
And Armada's still considered a living game, not like in poor. Like I got a core set of Rune Wars for free. I got a core set of Rune Wars for $20, and I still haven't played a game of it. Like it just was cool miniatures, I thought. And I remember going up to Canada, and they had 4 people in their regional, like their nationals for that game, and I'm like, huh. Maybe I'll buy some Rune Wars and be top 5 at Canadian nationals in this game. Like. We're not that, right? And the worst part was for Rune Wars, they were putting out new unit like things for a while. I remember there's one article for Legion we're all waiting for, and they put out like the Vampire King or whatever for Rune Wars, and I was like, heck, please, Vampire Rune Wars, what is it, right? But it's nuts because like I just again, if like 2 new prize kits came out, one for X-Wing, one for Legion, I play both games and I love both games. I play more X-Wing now. It's just it's easier to get a game in.
Yep.
Find someone to play for like an hour before I can find a 2 or 3 hour game of Legion. But if they both came out the same day, if the quality of the kits was the same, I'd go X-Wing.
Yeah.
Right now, just because the Legion kits, like if it doesn't matter to me, like if there's no benefit either way, and I'm not screwing somebody over for not having a man, like for Legion, like sometimes, like this time we sound like we're gonna get some people to our shop. Last time, like if I didn't play, the tournament wouldn't go off. Like it'd be 30 people. That aside, if nothing else mattered besides just the prize kits for me, they're just better for X-Wing right now.
Yep.
And that kind of sucks. Like
Yeah.
I feel like if they want more people to play, prizes get people in there, right? Like it's cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of turn of events, and I don't know, maybe with the new system it'll be different.
Maybe in the
but-
new year, right?
yeah.
Like we're coming in, they're
Year or two.
making big announcements at Adepticon, so let's. All the griping I've been just doing about prizes and
Could
this
all
and that,
change.
It could all change, and it sounds really shallow when I talk about it. And I
Nah, dude, I
that-
get it. I think that's part of the bonus of doing this. Like, not just the winning, but also all the support.
Yeah, just the cool. So getting support from these companies is like the company goes, "Hey, we're gonna send the shop this kit for like $15-20,
Yeah.
full of cool little knickknacks that people who really like it. It's a thank you to the players,
Yeah.
right? You go to an X-wing event and you get a card no matter what, even if it's not your favorite card. You're like, oh, cool, a full art proton torpedo. That's cool, right? Like,
Yeah.
even if you don't win anything, you still get something, and it's
Yeah.
just a thank you. Hey, thanks for playing the game. We appreciate that you're coming out to the stores and making this hobby. Without you in the store, no one would even know this exists,
Yeah.
right? So that's how I look at these prize kits. And when they kind of suck, it's like, oh well,
Yeah,
like
it's tough because then you're requiring the store, but
putting,
the stores aren't
yeah.
making. I mean, really, the stores are more breaking even when we
Yeah.
go play these tournaments. Sometimes we'll spend money, but like
Yeah.
for the most part, they're just breaking even. So it's hard to convince them that, hey, like
It-
go out on a limb to like make this event happen and stuff. They're just kind of like,
and I don't mind when you go into a store, you pay to play,
yeah,
and you just get the kit. You don't get store credit back.
yeah,
But when the kits suck, it's like when they're really not good. I'm like, what did I pay for?
Yeah.
Right. Like with X-wing,
that's fair.
or again, I don't mean to keep making the comparison, but it's just the kits are just better. Like I got hard spot glass. I got a ton of tokens. I got like 4 or 5 cards. I got like all this stuff. I'm like, wow, that was awesome. That was worth $15.
Yeah.
When I put 15 into Legion, and I get like, I'm like, oh, another ATRT.
Yeah, the only one, and I mean, I had to travel to Vegas to go, but the only
Yeah.
one I felt like I got my money back from was Vegas. But that's because it was a fan-held event, not a...
Yeah, right. And that stinks, right? It
Yeah.
shouldn't be like that. So
Yep.
it hurts because I would go to the store and give them free money for sure. Because that kit's like $15, $20.
Yeah.
And 4 people show up and they each give them $15. I know it's not a whole lot of profit.
Oh, that's what kills me too.
But it's
So
just like
those
on top.
kits, they're how much are they again?
like $15, $20.
Okay,
or so.
for the kits for Legion. And they're split into, you don't give everything out.
Yeah.
It's like split into different weeks
Like
or
supposed
whatever.
to be like a quarter kit.
Yeah. What kills me about that is that they like literally they give out like 1 or 2, like it's like 1 token, 1
Yeah.
card, and you're like, dude, what?
Yeah.
Like I just spent why did I spend $15 on this?
Yeah.
Like, and it's, you know, the store space and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But we got to start, you know, I'm trying to come up with better ways of supporting our community. So we just got to come up with ways like LJ Talk Polite did for LVO, and just kind of come up with these better ways of supporting these events so that people come out.
Yeah, man.
And that's why this Saturday, Comic Zone in Syracuse, we'll be playing a Legion tournament. If you show up, I'm going to have 5th Trooper giveaway stuff. The store's doing store credit because there's no kit. You're going to meet me and Evan. You can shake our hands. You can look us in the eyes and tell us how much you love this podcast.
or hate it.
In
Either one will
person.
take it.
We got people from all over coming.
We got Pennsylvania. We got Syracuse, New York.
Maybe Rochester. I don't know. Maybe somebody from down the street. But who knows? We're going to do this.
Yeah, if you love it, come hang out with us. If you hate it, come beat us.
Yeah, if you're
That's-
close,
That's either
you know.
way.
All right. So just two things. Number one, remember that we'll be live streaming at Adepticon.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Live. If you own a store or some sort of shop or have a business that is Legion related or minis related and you want to advertise on our Adepticon stream, reach out to me, the Fifth Trooper podcast at gmail.com. And we got some packages for advertising and all that stuff. And then the second thing is the shop is still in pre-order mode, and so everything we have up, I'm adding more stuff. I've been trying to add stuff every week.
Yeah.
We got a couple more ideas. Everything's on quote unquote sale right now.
Yeah.
So any pre-orders, once the pre-orders are all done and we're doing regular sales, I'm going to jack the prices up a little bit. But I just wanted anybody who has the foresight
Early
to
bird,
pre-order, and I understand pre-order is tough because you don't get your product right away. It's going to be some time, but if you pre-order, you're going to get a discount. So that's what's happening right
And
now.
we got a cool new tropical themed map in the works.
In the works, yeah. So right now we got the two
Not
mats.
Scarif.
Right, the beach mat.
The beach mat.
We have a mud planet mat and a salt crystal mat, which are people seem interested in. They're doing well, and if those mats do well, we've got a couple more in the works, and so we definitely want to provide more cool stuff. That's not just. It is about supporting us,
Sure.
right? That's what we asked you guys about.
Yep.
But two, like the whole reason I wanted to do the store in the first place is so that I could provide you with actual things that made sense for
Like
you
cool
outside
Legion
of just
products that you could
outside
actually
just
use.
outside of just supporting us
Yeah.
for support's sake. So we put dice trays up this past week since the last podcast.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, like I used to make them out of shadow boxes and stuff, but the ones you got are pretty good.
Yeah, so so we're doing all kinds of cool stuff, and I got some other stuff. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to tease a little bit, but there's some more stuff in the works too that's kind of cool, and so keep checking that out. fifthtrooper.com/shop, or you can just go to Fifth Trooper and click shop up at the top. So, anything else, Evan?
I made a mistake in the chat and said we were going to be live streaming Worlds. I thought for whatever reason the high command was Worlds. Everybody, I'm sorry.
Bastard.
I'm sorry.
He meant nationals.
Yeah, I was at work and
He said worlds, and everybody get confused. It's okay. We
I was
fixed
watching
it.
a stream and I got a call from one of the guys. I was reaching a plant and they said, "Hey, the HVAC system's down." And I'm like, "What do you mean down?" You're like, "Yeah, the computer that controls all the environmentals for this entire factory is down." I'm like, "What?" And so I go to it and it's like this XP machine that's on top of like a filing cabinet, like just gross. My mind was like, I was half watching the stream and being excited, and also half really sad that like I don't know if I get heat up again. I did, so we're good. We're good. But like I was half watching, half reading, so it was my fault.
So he's sorry.
I am sorry.
And on that, so I just wanted to thank everybody for the shout outs on the streams, like on YouTube and Twitch. We got a couple shout outs for Fifth Troopers, so that was cool. So thanks everybody. Thanks for listening. This one went pretty long this time. I appreciate you guys sticking in there, and I hope you enjoy the extra content. And just again, wanted to thank Rachel for joining, and I hope that was helpful to everybody.
Oh yeah, it was great.
All right. Well, cool. Thanks everybody. See you next week.
Stay rad.
Join us next week for another edition of the Fifth Trooper Podcast.
This has been a Fifth Trooper production.